Welcome to lesson number 11 of the Python crash course. Previously we concluded that strings are immutable, whereas lists are mutable. If you're still confused as to why that is, make sure to revisit that lesson. Anyways, how does that affect the behavior of the data type? If I create a variable name is equal to Amir, that variable holds an immutable string, which is saved in memory. If I assign other name is equal to name, and then reassign name to another value equal to John, this does not affect the value of other name. We can show this by printing print name and print other name. In the results, you can clearly see that even though we updated the value of name, that update was not reflected in other name. Other name retained the initial value of Amir. However, what if we're dealing with a mutable data type? Would we see a different behavior? If we change the data type, well, yeah. Otherwise, what's the point of this video? What we'll do is we'll set books is equal to the Catcher in the Rye, the Mist, and Lord of the Rings. If I set more books is equal to books, and then change one of the books in my list to, let's say, A Song of Ice and Fire, that is, books at index 0, we're going to go from Catcher in the Rye to A Song of Ice and Fire. If I go ahead and print books at index 0, indeed, it equals A Song of Ice and Fire. The list changes such that the element at index 0 is now A Song of Ice and Fire. What if I also printed more books? Print more books. Initially, we set more books to equal books, which held this value, the Catcher in the Rye, the Mist, and Lord of the Rings. But then we updated the first index in our books list. Will that change also be reflected in more books? Let's test it out. Run the cell, and indeed the change is reflected. The take-home message being, since list data type are immutable, changing a list will reflect in all variable names for that same underlying list. Either variable, either name, either label, whatever you want to call it, can be used to change or access that list, all of them holding a reference to it. So that's it for the behavior of mutable and immutable data types. It's very important to be mindful of their subtle distinction, what we just talked about in this video, so that you're always aware of how data is being accessed and configured in your program. Always double check your work and use the print function to make sure that data is being configured the way that it's intended to be. And that concludes our discussion on behavior of mutable and immutable objects. In the next video, let's continue our previous discussion on built-in list functions.